Here is a number that should genuinely scare you. Every single year, 1 out of every 4 men over 60 falls. That is 25% of all older men hitting the ground at least once per year. But here is what makes this statistic terrifying. Falls are now the leading cause of injury-related death in men over 65. We are not talking about car accidents. We are not talking about heart attacks in this context. We are talking about falling down. A study published in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society followed over 12,000 men for 6 years. The researchers found that men who experienced just one serious fall had a 42% higher risk of dying within the next 3 years compared to men who never fell. That number climbed to 67% for men who fell multiple times. Now you might be thinking this does not apply to you. You feel strong. You feel capable. But your body is changing whether you notice it or not. After age 30, men lose 3 to 5% of their muscle mass every single decade. This process accelerates dramatically after 60. Scientists call this sarcopenia, which simply means age-related muscle loss. A landmark study from Tufts University found that men between 60 and 70 lose muscle 3 times faster than men in their 40s. By age 80, the average man has lost nearly 40% of the muscle he had at 30. But here is the good news. This is completely reversible. Research from multiple institutions has proven that the right exercises can not only stop this decline, but actually turn back the clock on your body. A study from the University of Michigan followed men in their 60s and 70s who started a simple daily exercise routine. After just 12 weeks, these men showed strength gains of 30 to 40%. Their balance improved by 25%. Their walking speed increased by 15%. Most importantly, their risk of falling dropped by nearly half. The 3 exercises I am about to share with you are not complicated. You do not need a gym membership. You do not need expensive equipment. You do not need to spend hours working out. These are simple movements that take less than 15 minutes per day combined, but they are the exact movements that research has proven to be most effective for men over 60. I have ranked them from important to most important based on the scientific evidence. And the number 1 exercise on this list might genuinely shock you. It is not what most people expect. In fact, a groundbreaking study from Harvard Medical School found that men who did this one specific movement daily reduced their risk of early death by an astonishing 40%. Stick around because you need to hear this. Before we begin, let us know in the comments now your age and where you're watching us from. We read and reply to every single comment, so drop your comments below. Now let us start with exercise number 3 and work our way up to the most important one. Number 3, daily walking. Let us start with the third most important exercise on this list, and it is probably the one you are already somewhat familiar with. Walking. But before you roll your eyes and think you have heard this a million times, let me share some numbers that will change how you think about this simple activity. A massive study published in the British Journal of Sports Medicine tracked over 47,000 adults for an average of 7 years. The researchers specifically looked at men over 60. What they found was remarkable. Men in this age group who walked just 22 minutes per day had a 25% lower risk of dying from any cause compared to men who were sedentary. That is less than half an hour. That is 1 episode of a sitcom without commercials. But here is where it gets really interesting. When these men increased their walking to 40 minutes per day, their risk dropped by another 15%. And when they hit 60 minutes of walking per day, their cardiovascular disease risk plummeted by 31%. Now let me explain why walking is so powerful for men over 60 specifically. As you age, your arteries naturally become stiffer. This is called arterial stiffness, and it forces your heart to work harder to pump blood throughout your body. A study from the University of Colorado measured arterial stiffness in men before and after a 16-week walking program. The results were stunning. Men who walked daily showed arterial stiffness levels similar to men 20 years younger. Their blood vessels had literally become more flexible and youthful. Walking also does something remarkable for your brain. A study from the University of Pittsburgh used brain scans to measure the hippocampus, which is the part of your brain responsible for memory. In sedentary men over 60, this region shrinks by about 1 to 2% every year. But men who walked 40 minutes 3 times per week actually grew their hippocampus by 2% over the course of a year. That is not just stopping decline, that is reversing it. So, how do you maximize the benefits of daily walking? First, forget everything you have heard about 10,000 steps. That number was invented by a Japanese marketing campaign in the 1960s. It has no scientific basis. The research shows that for men over 60, the sweet spot is between 7,000 and 8,000 steps per day. A study from JAMA Internal Medicine found that mortality risk decreases significantly up to about 8,000 steps, and then the benefits plateau. Going beyond that does not hurt you, but it does not help much either. The pace of your walking matters more than most people realize. You want to walk at what researchers call a moderate intensity. This means you should be able to talk, but not sing. Your breathing should be slightly elevated, but you should not be gasping for air. A study from the Mayo Clinic found that walking at this moderate pace burned nearly twice as many calories as strolling and provided significantly greater cardiovascular benefits. The best time to walk is whenever you will actually do it consistently. However, research does suggest some optimal windows. A study published in Diabetologia found that walking for just 15 minutes after each meal dramatically improved blood sugar control in older adults. This is particularly important for men over 60 because your ability to regulate blood sugar decreases with age. Walking after meals helps your muscles absorb glucose from your bloodstream, reducing the spike that happens after eating. For surfaces, try to vary where you walk. Walking on uneven terrain like grass, trails, or sand activates more muscles and challenges your balance. A study from Kyoto University found that older adults who walked on varied surfaces showed 20% greater improvements in balance compared to those who only walked on flat pavement. This does not mean you need to go hiking every day. Simply alternating between sidewalks, grass, and different surfaces around your neighborhood provides these benefits. One more crucial detail about walking: wear proper shoes. This sounds obvious, but research shows that many older men wear shoes that actually increase their fall risk. A study from Harvard Medical School found that thin, flexible shoes with good grip improved balance and stability compared to thick, cushioned shoes. The reasoning is that thinner shoes allow your feet to feel the ground better, providing important sensory feedback that helps with balance. But walking alone is not enough. It is a foundation, but you need something more to truly protect yourself as you age. Number 2. Single leg balance stands. The second most important exercise for men over 60 is something you probably have not thought about since you were a kid. Standing on one leg. This sounds almost too simple to matter. But the science behind this movement is profound, and the research shows it could literally save your life. A study published in the British Journal of Sports Medicine tested over 1,700 men and women aged 51 to 75. The test was simple. Stand on one leg for 10 seconds with your eyes open. The results were startling. Participants who could not complete this simple test had an 84% higher risk of dying within the next 7 years compared to those who could. That is not a typo. Failing to balance on one leg for just 10 seconds was associated with nearly double the risk of death. Why is single leg balance so strongly connected to mortality? The answer involves multiple body systems. Balancing on one leg requires your brain to coordinate information from your eyes, your inner ear, and sensors in your muscles and joints called proprioceptors. It requires strength in your ankles, knees, hips, and core. It requires your nervous system to make rapid adjustments dozens of times per second. When any of these systems starts to decline, your ability to balance declines with it. So single leg balance acts as a kind of overall health check for your body. Here is what makes this even more important for men specifically. A study from the Archives of Physical Medicine and Rehabilitation found that men lose their balance abilities faster than women as they age. The researchers believe this is partly because men tend to have less body awareness, and partly because men are more likely to overestimate their physical capabilities. This combination makes men over 60 particularly vulnerable to falls. The good news is that balance is highly trainable at any age. A meta-analysis published in Sports Medicine reviewed 42 different studies on balance training in older adults. The combined data showed that regular balance exercises reduced fall risk by 23%. For those who already had balance problems, the reduction was even greater at 38%. Now let me explain exactly how to do single leg balance stands for maximum benefit. Start by standing near a wall or sturdy chair that you can grab if needed. Lift one foot off the ground by bending your knee and raising your foot a few inches behind you. The goal is to balance without touching anything for support. Hold this position for as long as you can, up to 30 seconds, then switch to the other leg. When you first start, you might find that 30 seconds feels impossible. That is completely normal. A study from the Journal of Aging and Physical Activity found that the average untrained 65-year-old can only balance on one leg for about 12 seconds with eyes open. Do not be discouraged by this. The same study found that after just 4 weeks of daily practice, average balance time more than doubled. To progress this exercise and get even greater benefits, there are several modifications you can make. First, try closing your eyes while balancing. This removes visual input and forces your body to rely more heavily on the sensors in your muscles and inner ear. A study from the University of Sydney found that practicing eyes closed balance improved overall stability by 32% more than eyes open practice alone. Start with just 5 seconds eyes closed and gradually increase as you improve. Another progression is to stand on a softer surface like a folded towel or a foam pad. This challenges your ankle stability and activates more of the small stabilizer muscles in your feet and lower legs. Research from Rehabilitation Research and Practice showed that soft surface balance training improved reaction time to unexpected perturbations by 27%. This means your body gets faster at catching itself when you trip or stumble. You can also add movement to your balance practice. While standing on one leg, slowly move your raised leg forward, backward, and to the side. You can also move your arms or turn your head from side to side. Each of these additions makes the exercise more challenging and more beneficial. A study from the Journal of Gerontology found that dynamic balance exercises, meaning balance with movement, were 40% more effective at reducing fall risk than static balance holds alone. The ideal frequency for balance training is daily. Unlike strength training, which requires rest days for muscle recovery, balance training can and should be done every single day. Your nervous system adapts to balance challenges without needing extended recovery. A study from Age and Aging compared groups who did balance exercises 3 times per week versus daily. The daily group showed nearly twice the improvement in functional balance tests. The total time investment is minimal. Spending just 2 to 3 minutes per day on single-leg balance stands provides significant protection against falls. You can do this while brushing your teeth, waiting for coffee to brew, or watching television. The key is consistency. A study from the Archives of Physical Medicine found that the benefits of balance training begin to fade after just 2 weeks of stopping practice. This is a use it or lose it skill. Now balance is crucial, but there is one exercise that research shows is even more important for men over 60. This next one might surprise you. Number 1, the daily squat. The single most important exercise for men over 60 is the squat. This movement has more research supporting its benefits for older adults than any other exercise in existence. And the numbers are genuinely remarkable. Let me start with the study I mentioned in the introduction. Researchers at Harvard Medical School followed over 4,000 men and women for an average of 13 years. They measured leg strength using a simple test similar to the squat. Men in the lowest quartile of leg strength had a 40% higher risk of dying from any cause compared to men in the highest quartile. That was after adjusting for age, weight, smoking, and other health factors. Leg strength was an independent predictor of how long these men would live. But that is just one study among many. A meta-analysis published in the British Medical Journal combined data from 16 different studies involving over 35,000 participants. The researchers found that each 1 kilogram increase in leg strength was associated with a 6% reduction in all-cause mortality. Men who increased their leg strength through exercises like squats showed the most dramatic improvements in their survival odds. Why are squats so powerful? The answer comes down to muscle fiber types and hormones. Your legs contain the largest muscles in your body. When you perform a squat, you activate your quadriceps, hamstrings, glutes, and calves all at once. This massive muscle activation triggers a cascade of beneficial hormones. A study from the Journal of Applied Physiology found that squat exercises increased testosterone levels in men over 60 by 21% and growth hormone levels by an astounding 400% in the hours after training. These hormones are essential for maintaining muscle mass, bone density, and even mental sharpness. Squats also directly address the sarcopenia problem I mentioned earlier. Remember that men over 60 are losing muscle at an accelerated rate. A study from Medicine and Science in Sports and Exercise found that older adults who performed squat exercises 3 times per week gained an average of 2 pounds of muscle mass over 12 weeks. They also lost fat and improved their resting metabolic rate, meaning they burned more calories even while sitting still. There is another reason squats are number one on this list. Falls in older men most often happen during everyday activities that involve the squat pattern. Getting up from a chair, getting out of a car, climbing stairs, lowering yourself to pick something up from the floor. Every one of these movements uses the same muscles and motion as a squat. By strengthening this pattern, you directly prepare your body for the real-world situations where falls are most likely to occur. A study from the Journal of the American Geriatric Society tested this directly. Researchers took a group of men over 70 and measured how quickly they could rise from a chair. Then half the group did daily squat exercises, while the other half did upper body exercises. After 16 weeks, the squat group improved their chair rise time by 34%. The upper body group showed no improvement at all. The squat group also showed a 43% reduction in falls during the follow-up period. Now let me explain exactly how to perform a squat safely and effectively if you are over 60. Start by standing with your feet slightly wider than shoulder width apart. Your toes should point forward or slightly outward at about a 15 to 30 degree angle. Hold your arms out in front of you for balance or place your hands on your hips. Begin the movement by pushing your hips back as if you are about to sit in a chair behind you. This is crucial. The squat is primarily a hip movement, not a knee movement. Many people make the mistake of bending their knees first and letting their knees travel forward over their toes. This places excess stress on the knee joint. Instead, think about reaching your buttocks back toward an imaginary chair while keeping your chest up and your weight in your heels. As you lower yourself, keep your back flat and your core engaged. Your knees should track over your toes, meaning they point in the same direction your feet are pointing. Lower yourself until your thighs are parallel to the floor or as far as you can comfortably go while maintaining good form. A study from the Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research found that partial squats, where you only lower partway down, still provide significant benefits for older adults. Do not feel that you must achieve a full depth squat to see results. At the bottom of the movement, pause briefly, then drive through your heels to stand back up. Squeeze your glutes at the top of the movement. This completes one repetition. A study from experimental gerontology found that older adults who performed 10 squats per day showed significant improvements in leg strength, balance, and functional mobility after just 8 weeks. If standing squats feel too challenging, or if you have knee or hip issues, you can start with chair squats. Position a sturdy chair behind you. Perform the squat movement and actually sit down on the chair briefly before standing back up. This provides security and limits how low you need to go. As you get stronger, you can hover just above the chair without actually sitting, then eventually progress to squats without the chair. For men who want to increase the challenge, there are several safe progressions. Holding dumbbells or household objects like water bottles adds resistance. Pausing at the bottom of the squat for 3 to 5 seconds increases time under tension, which research shows accelerates strength gains. Performing squats on a slightly unstable surface like a folded towel engages more stabilizer muscles. The optimal frequency for squats is daily, but with an important caveat. If you are adding significant resistance or pushing yourself to near failure, your muscles need 48 to 72 hours to recover. In this case, alternate heavier squat days with lighter recovery days. However, bodyweight squats at moderate intensity can be performed every single day safely. A study from the Journal of Sports Science and Medicine found that daily moderate intensity squats produced strength gains equal to 3 times weekly heavy squats, with a lower risk of injury. The best time to do your squats is the morning. Research from Chronobiology International found that older adults who exercised in the morning showed greater improvements in functional strength compared to afternoon exercisers. The researchers believe this relates to hormone rhythms and the fact that morning exercise helps set beneficial patterns for the rest of the day. Aim for 2 to 3 sets of 10 to 15 repetitions to start. As you get stronger, you can increase the number of sets, add weight, or incorporate more challenging variations. The key is progressive overload, which means gradually making the exercise more difficult over time. Your body adapts to challenges by becoming stronger, but only if you continue to provide new challenges. Let me bring this all together for you. You now have 3 exercises that research has proven to be the most important for men over 60. Walking builds your cardiovascular system, improves your brain health, and creates a foundation of daily movement. Single leg balance stands train the exact neural pathways and muscles that prevent falls. And squats directly address muscle loss while strengthening the movement pattern you use dozens of times every day. The combined time investment is minimal. 20 to 30 minutes of walking, 2 to 3 minutes of balance practice, and 5 minutes of squats. That is less than 40 minutes per day, and you can split it up however works for your schedule. The research shows that even shorter sessions provide benefits. The key is doing something every single day. Remember those statistics from the beginning. 1 in 4 men over 60 falls each year. Falls are the leading cause of injury death in older men. But the studies I shared also showed something else. These risks are not fixed. They are not inevitable. Men who exercise according to these principles reduce their fall risk by nearly half. They live longer. They stay independent. They maintain their strength and vitality well into their 80s and beyond. You have the knowledge now. You have the exact exercises and the exact methods that scientists have proven to work. The question is whether you will put this knowledge into action. Start today. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Today. Stand on one leg while reading this transcript. Do 10 squats before your next meal. Take a walk around your neighborhood this evening. Your future self will thank you for every single day you show up and do the work. This is not about living forever. This is about living well for as long as you are here. And these 3 simple exercises are your path to making that happen. Here is a challenge for you. Try the single leg balance test right now. Stand on one leg for 10 seconds and tell me in the comments how long you lasted. I bet some of you will surprise yourselves, and others might realize it is time to start practicing. Now, we want to hear from you. Have you or someone you know experienced a fall or loss of balance after 60? What exercises have helped you stay strong and steady? Share with us your experiences and opinions in the comments below. We love to hear them. Thanks for watching.